Good Veterans Day to you. I am meteorologist Matthew East here in the Weather on the Ones Forecast Center on this Thursday, November the 11th, and just a delightful day for this Veterans Day. And couldn't draw it up much better than what we're seeing today. We'll talk about that, the upcoming weekend, and some rain next week, plus the possibility of some cold air later this month as we go through today's edition of the video. Let's start off with temperatures this morning. Pretty interesting temperature map. You can definitively tell that there is a cold front stretched through the plain states right about there. Ahead of it, you have a nice push of some milder air all the way up into the western Great Lakes region. But you have an area of high pressure here in Canada, and that is draining down some cooler air along into the east of the mountains this morning. So here's how the radar looks ahead of that front I showed you. There's some shower activity in parts of Missouri, Kansas, and Oklahoma. And again, remember, I'm cutting this video during the 5 a.m. hour. This is the upper air chart today. And because of that high pressure draining down that cooler air, we're not as warm as we would be. You have some areas back in the Ohio Valley and the Tennessee Valley making a run near record highs today, but we're not going to see that due to the surface flow being out of the north and northeast here in our region. Now, let's go out a little bit into the future. This is Tuesday at 1 in the afternoon, and I think Tuesday is the day that most of the rain with our next system pushes on through, and then some uncertainty after that. All right, let's get into today. Just picture perfect weather, sunshine, highs upper 60s to around 70 or so around the Piedmont. With that high settling down, it is a pretty chilly 1032 millibar high, and as it continues to build on down, we'll see lows tonight in most Piedmont spots in the 30s, and then tomorrow mid to upper 60s for highs, probably mid to some lower 30s then by Saturday morning. Now, Saturday itself looks terrific. Highs upper 60s to maybe some low 70s. Same deal on Sunday, upper 60s to low 70s. And I still think a pretty good amount of sunshine even on Sunday. Now, Monday, I can't rule out a shower trying to make it in very late in the day, but I just think most of the activity will hold off until we're finished with Monday and we get into Monday night and Tuesday. So there we are, Monday early evening on the GFS. And there's Tuesday early afternoon. And again, I think it is Tuesday. That's the day that has most of the rain pulling on through. And it could be a pretty decent little rain event, maybe some half-inch or 1-inch rain amounts with this system as it pulls through. It's an area of low pressure, or really an inverted trough, riding up from the Gulf of Mexico and on up into our area. And then we're behind the system by the time later Wednesday arrives, looking dry for Wednesday and Thursday of next week. Now, let's talk about the potential for cold air later this month. Here's the chart I showed you yesterday. Again, this is the same chart, but the updated data for today. European model on the left, GFS on the right, and we're looking at the average of day 8 to 10 in terms of the 500 millibar or the upper air pattern. Some notable differences here. Notice on the European, some ridging near just off the west coast, and actually a huge close ridge up here around Alaska. On the GFS, you still have ridging up into Alaska, but you have the trough kind of carving itself out underneath that there near the west coast. And so the result here, on the European, you have a more focused push of cold air into the eastern United States, whereas on the GFS, you wind up with that cold air moving into and kind of spreading out across the northern half of the country. And both of those scenarios are possible. Let me kind of show you a couple of specific charts here. This is the European. This is going to be the exact same time frame. This is 7 a.m. on Saturday of the 20th, so next Saturday. This is the European. Again, notice that focused ridging off the Pacific coast and a pretty good trough in the central and eastern part of the United States. Compare that to the GFS, and again, there's that disturbance carving out a trough off the west coast. And you end up with kind of a zonal flow across the southern states. And because of that, here's the GFS a few days later, a couple of days later here. This is Tuesday the 23rd at 7 o'clock in the morning. The general idea here, though, is I think later on next week, there's going to be some very cold air invade Canada and begin to spill down into the northern United States. From there, it's a matter of the upper air pattern, whether this plunges our way or kind of spreads out across the lower 48. I think when you're dealing with the depth and the significance of the amount of cold air that's going to be moving into this area, it's only a matter of time before at some point that plunges our way. But the timing is definitely a question mark. But I do think, I still am favoring the idea of some chillier air around Thanksgiving week, but that is far from set in stone. It's just a matter of timing that Arctic air and when it might settle down beyond the northern United States. Okay, so that's how things look today. Thanks for checking in with today's edition of the video. Have a great day, and God bless.